Right, earlier on, myself and Dibbler were talking about how to break down the show, so we're probably just going to do it in categories. So will we start off by talking about, I don't know, what do you want to start off? The best actor, best character for you in the first season? Regulars, of the 9 regulars. Do you want to start
This is a
there?
tough one. Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. I mean, it's one for me because all the characters are strong. There's no weak character to the show. It's like trying to, so there's no easy way to narrow it down to your favorites. But I would say that for me, my favorite character has always been Job. Just because of all of the characters that exist in Arrested Development, he's the one that seems least likely to be able to exist in the real world. He's the most ridiculous, he's the most pompous, he's the most, he's, I mean, pathologically self-centered. And he's got so many absolutely brilliant lines in the show in general, but I mean, there's an awful lot of them that are interesting. But yeah, I'd say Job by a whisker is my favorite character.
Okay, best character. Oh, hello. I can hear myself there in a major echo, but anyway. Best character, right? So I'll do the same, and I will say, before we move on to actress, I think for me, I'm going to just say Michael. I love Job, I love Buster, I love George Michael. I think they're great extreme characters. But I like, even independent of the fact that I really like Jason Bateman, and we'll come to that in a second, I like the character of Michael because he really is the anchor. It's a very traditional role in American sitcoms. You had Alex Rieger in Taxi, you had, we say, Jerry in Seinfeld. The idea of a normal character in the middle of a group of misfits, and I think of all the normal characters in all those types of sitcoms over the years, Michael is the one, because it's not even just the fact that he is so normal, it's because, and this is not down to Jason Bateman, it's down to the way he reacts to the rest of them. He has that air of, and I don't even know what, it's rare I'm lost for words, but I don't know what words. He has that resignation, I think, of idiocy whenever he's dealing with any of them, and he just kind of accepts that this is his lot in life to deal with these. And there are those couple of episodes where he tries to break away from them, of course, but by and large he accepts that this is his lot in life and he makes the most of it. And I really enjoy, there's many reasons for enjoying Arrested Development, but I really enjoy it just to watch his journey, just to watch his day-to-day life dealing with these idiots. Maybe I relate to him, but I can't say that on the podcast because I'll just insult all my friends and family in one foul swoop. Yeah, I really relate to him surrounded by idiots. No, I can't say that. But no, I just love Michael. I think, for me, the fact that he's not extreme like Job, I think Job, George Michael, Tobias as well is another example of characters that are just classic television comedy characters. But no, I love Michael so much. And when you mentioned Job, and before we move on to actors, I agree. He has no real world skills at all. And I think my favorite Job moment that illustrates that is the episode where he's trying to get revenge on Michael, and he's sleeping with a lot of different women, he says, and he's perpetually declaring that he will never see them again. And his phone rings, and he looks at it, and he always goes, "Who's this?" and answers it every single time. And the fact that he really has no skill set for real world issues is very endearing in that character.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. It was funny when you were talking about Michael, and the one thing that I think the strongest suit of Michael as a character is, and Jason Bateman as an actor, is his ability to just stand there and react to some of the things that people are saying, and I know what you mean about this almost a resignation to that. Why would he ever expect anything different? I mean, and I think it's summed up brilliantly one of the early episodes, possibly even it might even be the second episode. When he opens the fridge and he pulls out a bag with a sign taped to it that says, "Dead dove do not eat." And he opens it up and he looks inside and he says, "Well, I don't know what else I was expecting." And it's just as if it's some for me that one it really sums it up perfectly well. As in, what else could I possibly expect from these people? You know, he's resigned to the fact that these people are oblivious to everything around them that doesn't directly involve, that doesn't directly affect them, or doesn't directly affect what they think affects them.
Yes, that they have a very specific worldview, all of them, and he's outside it. Yeah, very true. And that dove moment, yeah, it's great when you point that out because, I kind of feel like every day, every episode is a open the bag and find a dead dove for Michael because he never they never let him down in that respect. And the last thing I'll say about the character just occurs to me as well is the setup of the show is so good because even if it wasn't witty and clever and audacious in all its clever ways of making us laugh, the setup is very good because it's one character who has to stay with these characters. He's tied to them because he's working in the business. They all know things about the business. They're all his family. There's a dynamic there that works brilliantly with Michael at the core of it. And you see some stupid sitcoms that get created over the last... I mean, things like that, I don't know, Four Kings that NBC had a few years ago. Stupid things like Four Friends Share an Apartment or, Three Guys Run a Bar or stuff that there's nothing in the concept that will lead itself towards comedy. And then you have Arrested Development, which just, the minute you describe it, it lends itself to comedy because there's conflict. He wants to get away from them. He never can. Everything about the business is going to bring him right back to them. They want money. He's the key to their money, so they're always going to go to him. I mean, no insult to the writers, but it writes itself in so many ways, I think, as an outsider.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing about... a lot of people talk about how it's hard to explain what the premise of Arrested Development is, but the show explains it every single time in the opening credits. I mean, it's and now the story of the wealthy family that lost everything and the one brother that had to try and keep them all together. I mean, that's the whole premise, and everything revolves around that. Because, as Michael so frequently says, everything he does is for the family. And so everything revolves around him, trying to do something for the business or trying to help out one of his siblings or trying to do something for his son that, his father didn't do for him. And therefore, he wants to be a better dad than his dad was to him. And it all revolves around that. And it's a show that never really needs to break... to go outside its own concept in order to bring freshness to the show. That was what was almost unique about it, that it never had to break its own rules in order to be different or fresh. That it was, whatever way it was, the show seemed to just be able to incorporate new characters or, new changes, slight changes to the status quo, but without ever having to really change the central premise. And that was always brilliant. That was one of the things I just found most remarkable about it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, the fact, well said there, you say it doesn't have to go outside of its premise. That's always a sign. It's something I watch for, particularly in comedies. Breaking the rules. If a show has to introduce a wacky character with a story latched onto them, then a show is in trouble. And Arrested Development, there was lots of wacky characters brought into it, yeah, but the story was always the story of the Blutes and their struggle with the law and money and whatnot. Okay, that's characters out of the way. Best actor in the ensemble. I'll let you go first again, if you don't mind.
Oh, best actor.
The 9, yeah, I know.
Yeah, this is like, again, it's the same problem as before. I mean, it's so hard to pick out who's the best actor among them. I mean, for me, I would always say that my favorite actor in them would be, well, I'm gonna leave aside Jason Bateman because we've already discussed about what makes him great. But
yeah.
I would say